Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd do a currently reading video. Yeah, my original plans, my big lofty plans for June, um, totally did not work out because June's just been crazy. I worked like 50 hours in 1 week and I'm only supposed to be part-time. um, yeah, and I was doing like overnights, so like that throws me off because I don't normally do overnights. So I have to like sleep the whole day before, stay up all that day, and then sleep the next day, and yeah. So that a big lofty plan did not work. I was supposed to the 13th or something. Don't know what day of the week it is anymore. And I was supposed to have read like 6 books by now, and I finished one. And that was The Elegance of the Hedgehog. Was okay. There's a lot of like insightful things, and it was an interesting notion, this whole hiding how smart you are from other people thing and other stuff. But I I don't know. I think I only gave the book like 2 stars because it was building up, and at the end, it did have like you're supposed to have this relationship between this older woman and this younger girl who are both very intelligent and trying to hide it from other people. But that relationship never happens. Like every time they're introduced, it's like, oh, and her daughter, this lady drops her daughter off, and that's it. The scene goes to black, and the next thing happens, and they don't talk about their relationship at all. So like in the end scene, like trying to have those emotions be believable just weren't. Yeah. So, the book I've been reading the most of right now is 22 Murders by Palango. Investigating the massacres, cover up, and obstacles to justice in Nova Scotia. This is about a mass shooting that happened over 2 days in April 2020, and the complete and utter failure of the RCMP to stop it. Like they failed to just basic things in policing. Like it goes a lot more into depth than that because it's a huge book, but it's just like the basic things from like sending out a province-wide alert on the phone. Instead, they were using Twitter, and he explains like not a lot of people in Nova Scotia are using Twitter, especially at like 11 o'clock at night or like 6 in the morning when these things were going out. And then the failure to set up roadblocks. Like this started in a town that literally had 2 ways in and out, and like they could have stopped it. But they didn't. And there's a whole bunch more. Like if you ever come across Palango, like make sure you're on his good side because he digs into everybody. Like every person who calls him with information, he like looks them up. And it's interesting because a lot of the people calling him are actually people who are in some way connected to the RCMP because he's very, very critical of them. And rightfully so after reading this. So he knows this, like, this person's information probably isn't good because he calls them Smurfs. I don't exactly get why. He doesn't explain that too much, but aside from that, one thing, it's he calls them Smurfs. They're people who are put out there who are loyal to the RCMP and who will go out there and spread misinformation and try to twist things around and stuff. It's crazy. I'm learning so much about the Maritimes because this happened in Nova Scotia, and that shares a border with New Brunswick, where I live. And I hope nothing like this ever happens again because it will just keep going. Because they haven't learned. He says in 2014 was three Mounties. RCMPs are also called Mounties. Were shot and killed, and like they didn't put any of the reviews and remedies that they were supposed to fix that into action that could have also helped this situation. I just astounded at the failure of RCMPs like to do anything. I'm surprised they get anything done. And then what happens is like when these failures are pointed out, they're like, okay, we'll investigate, but it's the RCMP investigating the RCMP. So what do you think is gonna happen, right? Like, oh my god. And like it's like reading a true crime series, like a documentary series. It's just like so compelling. Like the information he leaks out, like paces out it feels like that. Like you're just like, oh, what's gonna be the next cliffhanger? You know, what's gonna happen? Oh, it is so well written, so good. I've just been like, I've read this much in like 4 days, um, while reading other things. So that's like 375 pages. Yeah, and I was working 2 days as well. Yeah, that book is amazing. Like if you're into true crime, definitely pick this up. And if you live in Canada, you should also pick this up. Yeah, definitely. I'm also reading Midnight Tides by Steven Erikson. I just saw a a throwback picture. This was on my July TBR last year. That's when I started this. Just hoping I'm gonna finish it. I just went out and bought. This is book 5, and I have book 6, and so I bought book 7 just a few days ago. Because I love this series. This is Malazan. I should probably talk about it. Malazan, Book of the Fallen. This one, I heard that you can read this first because it's the first chronologically. We're actually going back like hundreds of years in this book, and we're following a whole, like, it's, how do I explain Malazan if you haven't read it? Like, the books aren't necessarily linear. Like, book 1 follows a certain set of characters, and book 2 follows a different set, and then book 3 jumps back to the first one, and book 4 goes back to the second one, and this is book 5. And I think they alternate. They all take place in the same world. There's some connectivity between them all. This one is pretty cool. I don't know how much I could tell you about it because at the point I'm in, 570 out of 904 pages. 904? 932. There's like glossaries and stuff and a preview of the next book in here too. So yeah. This one we follow a few different people. I'm all over the place. Okay. We're following a few different people in here. We follow a few people from the Lothari and a few people from the Tiste Urder, and they're gonna go to war. Is basically what's happening. And they're just at page like 570. The war just started. Well, a few pages before that too. But what's interesting with these and why they take so long for me to read is because they're dense, wonderfully written. I love them. They take a lot of concentration, and there's so many threads going through. Like I say, we follow the Lothari and the Tiste Urder, but we follow multiple people in those cultures as well. And we have like 3 brothers who are on like 3 different sides. So like one brother is with the Lothari like nobility, and he's up there, you know, he's like head of the army type almost thing. And then his other brother is one of my favorite characters. He's like this really weird character. Oh, I think I have it tagged here somewhere. I don't know if it's probably a spoiler. He's planning some nefarious things. But he's so funny because he has all this power, but he pretends not to have it, and like lives very poorly. Like sometimes he doesn't eat, and sometimes they're boiling like shoe leather for something to eat. It's a very eccentric character. And then the other brother is with the Tiste Urder. Yeah, so it's really cool. But we follow so much more than that. Like there's so much going on and so many characters. We follow a Lothari slave in the Tiste Urder camp. We follow she's called an aquateur. She's like a guide from the Lothari to the Tiste Urder. We follow like 3 brothers in the Tiste Urder, and like so much is going on. It's just I can't imagine Steven Erikson's brain to try and come up with all this stuff. I'm also reading Raven's Stratagem by Yoon. This is the 2nd book in the Machineries of Empire. I never remember that. And this is more slow going because we're not really with the other main characters, so I've just been slowly getting into this one. The other ones we follow Calcheris, and she takes on this other consciousness of the super general in her body to kind of help them win this war. And yeah, that's the first book. I can't tell you much about this one because there's spoilers, but we do follow some new people. And so it always takes some time for me to get adjusted to these because they're so weird and hard to understand because they do this warfare called calendrical warfare, which is really a lot based on like math, and there can't be heretics. Everyone has to follow the same calendar, and like the weapons are really weird. Like they look like they're just like laser guns, but it involves like so much math and like calculations and stuff. And it's not just like normal physics, like, you know, going into building them. Like it's while this is happening, math is going on through all of this. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so that's all I am currently reading. Sorry for the non-bookish view. There's some comic art there. And those are discs from Shakespeare's plays, I think, like the comedies, the romances. There's Romeo and Juliet on there anyways. There's a thing from Shakespeare in the Garden for Stratford, Ontario Festival, and this is apparently Albert Einstein's bookplate. So there you go. That's my background today. Yeah. Let me know what you are currently reading, and thank you for watching.